Hey everyone, so originally this week I had planned to have uploaded finished video maps of both Canada for Canada Day and the United States for July 4th, but I got a new kitten named Apollo a few weeks ago. I was told it was a he, and it seemed like a he, but upon taking the little furball to the vet to get fixed on July 1st, I learned it was actually a she. So instead of Apollo getting neutered, Diana was getting spayed. This meant that I needed to make sure she'd wear the cone of shame so she can heal properly, as the scar is much larger than it would have been for a male. So while she is doing perfectly fine, I had to keep a close eye on her because the cone of shame was rather loose, even with a collar, and she kept trying to get out of it. By day 2, Diana was behaving really well and left the cone alone, but the pain medication wore off by that point, and she was too small to get more, so she wanted to cuddle with me all day. Basically, I was unable to meet either deadline this week because I was too busy being a good cat father. I almost thought I could pull an all-nighter to at least finish the US video by July 4th at noon, but once Independence Day fireworks started annoyingly 6 hours before midnight, I realized Diana would probably want to be close to me due to the noise. So I thought instead of doing an all-nighter where I possibly finish one video, I'd instead make a video giving all of you an update on another unfinished video, the new North America video. Back in August of 2020, oh god, it's seriously almost been 5 years. Anyway, back in August of 2020, I began a project of remaking a map video of North America, but doing my best to include indigenous nations and tribes as best as I could, as my original video was quite lacking. In the original preview, I showed a small snippet from 1916 to 1946, which included subdivision borders for the major countries, as well as indigenous reservations in the United States. I also stupidly set the goal of releasing it by the end of September. That obviously did not happen. I was working backwards from 2020 as, in my mind, it was easier to edit borders already on the map than to draw them from scratch. Keep in mind, I didn't, and still don't, use QGIS or anything involving shapefiles. I do my videos mostly with Microsoft Paint, and nowadays also Paint.net. However, once I arrived back in the mid-1600s, I realized more and more that indigenous groups were even more numerous and complex than I was initially familiar with. So I kept spending time doing research, making some notes and timelines, worked more on the project, etc. But then I'd discover more detailed information I'd missed, and edit what work I had already done. Anytime I had to correct something, I'd have to edit a slide, then copy and paste it on each individual slide that had the mistake. This meant sometimes I'd have to open, file, paste, save, repeat for dozens if not hundreds of slides for each mistake. Keep in mind that while I had timelines, notes, and references, hundreds of individual indigenous tribes, confederations, and states mean that there's only so much surface-level history books or articles can cover. So if I researched deeper, I would find more specialized research, which means while I could get more information, I'd have to do it for either each individual polity or maybe a general region. So it was easy to keep missing stuff and not discover it until later. My channel has always been a one-man team. I have no staff, no editors, and before anyone sends an email, no, I can't really afford to properly pay for one either. So naturally, more time would pass. I'd still need to make at least a video a week to keep the channel going and to pay the bills, so it would keep getting small incremental updates. During this process, I updated how I did my mapping. I started incorporating Paint.net to take advantage of layers when I needed to. That way labels could be on their own layer and make editing mistakes much easier. I changed how I would show disputed borders. I started including major rivers depending on the video. But North America, meanwhile, was left in my older style of mapping, making it more irritable to work on. Working backwards, while seeming smart at the time, was now annoying. The weird tilt I gave the projection to have it fit more of the screen was starting to throw me off, which was annoying. The zoomed out continent not being able to show every detail was annoying. Along the way, I posted general updates on this channel in 2021, 2022, and 2023, while also posting 3 more detailed updates throughout late 2022 and early 2023 on my extras channel, so if you want more specific ideas on where my headspace was at those times, there you go. However, you'll notice that so many of these updates involved me fixing corrections more than getting past the 17th century, and with how often I'd get burned out and need to take breaks, it seemed like more and more that I'd never get past the 17th century. Keep in mind also that early in the production period, I had a second job in college classes. But eventually in 2023, I made a drastic decision that needed to be done. I decided that, at least for the mapping part, I'd start all over. I made a bigger map at a normal tilt that included rivers and an inset for the Yucatan. I made a more detailed color key. I used different text colors and fonts to distinguish major cultures from tribes to states. I decided to update how I showed civilizations based on the time period, using a general color for ancient civilizations, then adding labeled diamonds for major sites. That way I could show everything important without having to pull my hair out trying to show literally everything. Oh yeah, and this time I'm just working forward and will use the reference map for modern borders when I get there. I posted these updates as exclusives on my Patreon because they deserve to see proof of progress for continuing to help support me. Meanwhile, for you guys, you might have noticed that every once in a while I would post a video involving indigenous North America that was surprisingly more detailed, like for Teotihuacan, the Aztecs, the Classical Maya, and the Wabanaki. Those were basically ways of me compartmentalizing different areas of indigenous history and mapping those out individually to make research for the whole project infinitely easier. I also accepted along the way that while I can still make a great map, I won't be able to show everything. There's just too much of both lost information and complex information that a map at a continental level zoom simply cannot show. But nevertheless, I am making progress. The Maya video seriously helped me figure out how to properly depict the classical Maya period on the map without being overwhelmed by dozens of city-states. But to give all of you proof of progress, I will play you a 4-minute portion of the 7-minute preview I gave to my Patreon supporters back in November, where I mapped everything up to the start of the classical period in AD 250. That way you can compare it to the original preview snippet I posted and see the difference. My goal is to have an updated preview for Patreon supporters by the end of the summer that will include everything up to at least the post-classic. So if you'd like to see that and other future updates, that would be the first place you'll see them. But in the meantime, here you go. So, as you can see, progress is being made. While I'm not sure when it'll be fully finished, I am definitely moving along faster than I was at my first attempt. As for the Canadian and US videos, I'll just post them next week. Also, for whatever reason, the algorithm hated my video from last Friday, so please give it a watch if you find obscure historical figures interesting. As for other updates, I recently made a gaming channel where I'll be posting edited down videos of my Twitch streams. I recently played Tales Noir, formerly known as Backbone, and it was really fun. Alrighty then, that should be it. I'm Emperor Tiger Star, and seriously, thank you for not only watching and supporting me, but being very patient.